Hello everyone, welcome back. Today's subject for discussion, if you will, is I'm checking on the last corn that we planted, the last sweet corn that we planted, and you can see it looks pretty good. I hope you can see it, but it's been pretty dry. We have had a little rain lately, but being dry, a little dry, is not necessarily a bad thing. I like, and this is going to sound crazy, a little drought stress on my crops. Of course, that depends on the timing and of course the crop as well, but you can see the deer tracks. Got plenty of deer. Why would you ask me? Why would you want your crops to stress a little bit on drought stress? Well, depending on the stage of the growth of the plant, a little bit of drought stress is not a bad thing. So it'll put on more roots looking for water and be able to pick up more nutrients. More roots, the better the plant. So that is a good thing within reason, of course. And to have a little bit of it's not a bad thing. Having too much rain, of course, can drown the plant. Too much drought can starve a plant. Having just a little too much rain and the plant gets up belt high, shoulder high, and then it turns off dry, which it has a tendency to do a lot of times in late summer, then it doesn't have adequate enough roots to continue to grow. Because you'll notice a lot of times in crops, if you have a wet spring, or like wet from planting until midsummer, then it turns off dry, you'll notice how those plants will wilt quicker. You'll see them wilt and it stuns the growth. Now, too much drought, of course, will stunt the growth now, but just enough water to keep it growing so that growth progress don't stop. It's a continuation, but you know, just enough is ideal. Of course, we're not in control of the weather and we don't irrigate, so that's the thing about it. But this looks pretty good. We have pretty good weed control, looks like. I noticed there's a few weeds here, there, and yonder, but not bad at all. For the most part, it's in pretty good shape. May have to come back in and hit it again with a herbicide, but for the most part, it looks pretty good. Stand looks pretty good. Planter's nice and even. That's another thing about having your ground in good shape. You get the depth. Tends to plant at more uniform depth. With the planter I'm using now, if you get, you know, the big fancy smancy planters that's got all the bells and whistles, they have means of addressing those issues. But for the most part, it looks pretty good. Now, we did get a little rain over the weekend, and they're forecasting afternoon, evening thunder showers along the way. You can see right here, see how much bigger this plant is than this one or this one. That seed was probably planted shallower. For whatever reason, might have been a rock or something lifted the planter up there. And you'll see some of them are even smaller than that, just starting to come through. Might have been put a little deeper. But for the most part, they look pretty good. 2.5 acres here. Now, the first that we planted, it's up 6 to 8 inches. It's coming along pretty good. It's like I said, it's up about 6 or 8 inches, and it's coming on. It's in a little different soil. It's more sandy soil, but they've had more rain at that location than we have here. So that's another thing about the soil. If this got a little more clay in it, it holds water a little better than some of the sand. And there's a sandy area right up there that will not hold water as good as the rest of the field. But for the most part, pleased. Now, we are, what are we doing? We're getting to that point where it's about to be crunch time. I've got the ground ready for the pumpkins and the next round sweet corn. Just went and got the fertilizer for that. We're going to try to put that in tomorrow and incorporate it. And I'm going to go ahead and plant part of that corn as quickly as we do. We do have to start mowing hay. It's not late, but it's June 5th. So it's time to get started on the hay, get that done. And then, of course, basically at this point, I got 1 round of pumpkins to plant, 3 rounds of corn to plant, and the hay to put up. And then we've got to start, we'll start our spraying schedule not long after that. But may have to go over some of the early corn planted with herbicide this week or the next. So that's where we're at. Hopefully tomorrow we can get that ground fixed, get the fertilizer on it, get incorporated in, and then we can start with our planting. Go back to planting. We're planting everything in about 2.5 acre blocks, except for the next 2 plantings. Will be probably about 1.5 acres. So we're gonna have around 10 acres of sweet corn, which is half of what we had last year, but still sufficient for our size operation and everything. But I hope you guys can see that. That was planted, I believe it's been in the ground about 8-9 days, something like that. Maybe not that long. Maybe it's 6 or 7 days. But anyhow, but it looks pretty good. Rows are fairly straight. Of course, the old timers always told me you can get more in a crooked row than you can a straight row. So you can see here, this lower side, it's holding moisture, still a little damp. So it's got a good color to it. It should start to grow. The thing I like about corn, it takes it X amount of time to go from that high to that high, and then it'll grow twice that much in the next period of time. So once it starts growing, it goes. But anyhow, if you like what we're doing, want to follow along, just kind of a quick update, tell you what we're up to, where we're at. Want to follow along, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you know when we put up a video. And until next time, we'll see you guys later. We'll get home and get loaded up so we can leave work early tomorrow and go get that ground ready. Till next time, take care. Bye.